All right, hello and welcome to the third episode of Fit Life Journeys. Made it to episode 3 here. This is a podcast where we discuss the truth about living a fit and healthy lifestyle. We're going to break down some myths and share the stories of real people with the hopes that we can educate the general population on what really goes into a healthy lifestyle and then empower them to take action in their own life. I'm Shauna Kirk, co-owner of Fit Life Gym in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio, and today I have not one, but two beautiful ladies with me, Johnny Carpenter and Tab and Jone, who are members here at our gym, and they're people whose paths have crossed in significant ways on their fitness journey. So today I'm going to talk to them about kind of how those paths crossing made an impact on their lives, as well as some nutrition, fitness, and conversation about women something or other, and I'm losing it. Guys, help me with the word here. I'm not going to stop this time. Body image, yes. See, sometimes I edit and sometimes I just keep going even though I sound like I'm a crazy person. Right, so yes, some conversation on fitness, nutrition, and women's body image that I hope is helpful to those of you who are listening. Who's walking behind me? Somebody's walking back there. No? Am I crazy?
No,
that's cool. I'm not crazy?
I heard something too.
Okay. Is it Josh? It's probably not Josh. Tab, you have this look on your face like you just saw a ghost.
It just sounded just like footsteps. What was it?
There's 3 of us.
And we're strong.
There are 3 extremely strong people in this room. If you want to mess with anyone, don't do it.
With lots of heavy equipment.
Turn around and walk back up the stairs and out of the door. Okay, this is now my haunted podcast. We're here to talk about haunted old buildings in Ohio, starting with... I used to have to be here at night by myself. So when we first opened, we did orientations at night after everything was over, and we did them here. And it was just me and Josh. And Josh would walk everyone through some of the exercises. So it took like a good hour. And then after everyone left, I would sit here and finish up their paperwork for what trials they selected. Yeah, I'm definitely still hearing something behind me. Not freaking out at all. At least it's daylight. And also you guys can see behind me. So I like to think that before anyone sneaks up and kills me, you guys are going to let me know.
Just be glad I'm closest to the door. I'm probably the scaredy cat.
It's broad daylight and Tab looks like she's ready to run.
If it were dark.
Right. And so I would start to panic sometimes or like freak out a little bit. And especially we used to have blinds at that front window. And so I could close it and nobody could tell I was in here. That picture or whatever that's on the window now, depending on the light, you can see in or out of it. So if I'm sitting at that desk with a light on me and it's dark outside, people can see me. Right. So I started like going in the back office instead of sitting at the desk because I was freaking out. But then I would be in the office and I wouldn't be able to hear, or like I wouldn't be able to see what was happening in this big room, but I would hear noises and I would freak out. So I'm kind of glad that that's not part of my life anymore. It's sitting here alone in the dark at night. Tab, you look stressed. You look worried. I'm okay. I'm still here. I'm sitting right in front of you. I am not a ghost. I'm not a ghost. That was just the refrigerator turning on. That one that happened over there.
Got that one.
Also, they're making candles back there. Hope Soap has like a storage room where they make stuff back there. So if you hear anything behind you, it's just candles being made. You're okay. Okay.
I got quick feet when like.
I don't doubt it. You guys remember what we're here to talk about today?
Yeah, let's do this.
Is it ghosts? It's not ghosts. All right, so who wants to start? Who wants to get picked on first? Johnny does it, according to Tab.
Sure. Yes. Johnny likes that.
Easiest question first.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about your health and fitness journey and how you ended up here.
So I've always been pretty active from a young adult back in the day, let's say, with aerobics and joining group fitness sessions.
By the way, you're still a young adult in my head.
Thank you for that.
I have to look up your age and I'm like, no.
It's true.
Right.
So I've always been interested and always was an outdoor person, always perpetual motion, no matter what I'm doing, whether it's work or fun. Fast forward a lot of years, I moved to Northeastern Ohio and didn't know anybody when I moved here.
Oh.
So I began again my search and my journey for a place where I fit, that I could join a gym, join a group. So I tried several gyms. Then I thought on a dare, somebody said, would you like to do a half marathon? I have no concept what that means. I have no idea how many miles that is. And I'm like, sure, let's do this. After I recovered, because I couldn't walk for probably 2 weeks, I'm like, okay, I've been enough of this. It's time to find a place to go. During that time, I found a group of running friends. And there was a group that was coached, met a lot of people there. And then a couple of the people here had started at the gym and wanted to try it out and said, hey, this is just, a really different kind of gym. The way they do exercises, the way they move about the room, everything's really guided. You should try it out. I did. So 6+ years later, I'm still here.
Yes.
And loving everything.
And I remember your first day. I remember your first day.
Do you?
Uh-huh.
I remember my first day being, because it was so different, walking around and the exercises being demoed. I'm like, this is really a different kind of place. So.
Yeah, and it's funny because I know one of your friends that brought you here was Shorty Heather.
Yes.
Who is going to be her very own podcast someday soon.
Yes. Yep, she had brought me, and
yes.
I always thought, well, I would just come after work and I'll do these, workouts then. And she talked me into, she goes, oh, come on, at that time, 5:30. Come on, just try it once. Try the 5:30 class. And I'm like, no. So 6 years later, here I am, 5 a.m., 5:15.
It's always fascinating to me the amount of people who start out with I'm working on the evenings. I'm not coming to those early mornings, and now you're all here in the early mornings.
Yes. And it's great for your day. It's great for your mental state. It just gets you revved up. And
do you know why I like working out later?
Why?
Because sometimes working out is the best part of my day, and I do not want to have the best part of my day first thing, because then it's just downhill from there.
And I'll take it.
I want something to look forward to. I'm like, at least that's how I felt in Chicago. Here's a little different.
Yeah.
Miss Tab, how did you find us? I don't actually know how you found us. I knew how she got here.
So unlike Johnny, my journey, I was not into fitness. My family did not grow up any kind of fitness. It was just you worked, and work was all you knew. However, my parents have a very lengthy medical history, and I knew that that's what I did not want. I didn't want that for myself. So I started out at the YMCA with a dear friend, and on Saturdays there was a coach at the Y that would do boot camp style workouts with a very small group of us. I loved it. However, she would give you the rundown of the exercises and you were off on your own. So I didn't know anything about exercising. I didn't know anything about how to push myself, where my weights were. But I loved it so much that I knew I wanted to find a gym that was that style. But for me, I have to have things on the way to work or on the way home, or I'm just not going.
Right.
So always working in Akron, I started Googling gyms, boot camp style gyms that were on the way. Lo and behold, I find this gym. I sign up for the, sign up to come in, 1 week membership, and here I am 4 years later. So my journey here was just because I just don't want the same kind of extensive medical background that my family holds. But what I have gained from here is so much more than I ever thought that I would gain walking in that door the first day.
Yeah. I'm going to put you on the spot and immediately ask you to tell me more about what that was.
Well, so confidence, because like I said, I didn't come from an exercising broke family. I didn't play sports. I didn't know anything of how to fuel my body, right? We ate because it was time to eat dinner. It was never you ate a meat, potato, and a vegetable, but I didn't know a lean meat versus a fatty meat. I didn't know like portion size. I didn't know any of that. And I gained all that here. I gained camaraderie here. I gained friendship here. I've gained confidence. I've gained muscles. I like gained strength that I never knew I could have. So all of that, just walking in that door, I was scared. I didn't know anybody, and I'm kind of a very shy, standoff person. Like, it takes me a long time to make friends. It takes me a long time to really talk to people. I will watch everybody around the room, but I don't have to talk to somebody. I'm just kind of like, this is me. So like.
So you're one of Johnny's strays too?
Yeah.
This is what it's like. Johnny just like picked me up off the side of the road one day and was like, "I think I'm going to like you."
Yeah, and I just now I know like food choices. I pay attention to my body now.
Mm-hmm.
What I eat, how I feel. When I eat, how I feel. When I decide to have just oatmeal for breakfast, how hungry I am about a half hour later versus eggs in the morning. And those kind of things. I didn't come with any knowledge base of that.
Yeah. So, you live on a farm, right?
I do.
So this is one thing that's interesting because yeah, I always wondered how you got here because I was like, I've been to your farm and it's not close. I don't know how much work they make you do around the farm, but like how much is like your fitness helped with that kind of lifestyle?
Oh, so much. So I did not always live on a farm either. My husband and I just got married last year. We've been together 10 years. So I've always been with him on the farm, but we're freshly married. My lifestyle on the farm, being able to lift 100-pound feed bags, definitely comes from this place because I tell Josh all the time, my husband doesn't give mercy. He is you try it yourself, and if you struggle, let me know. So I tell Josh, like, I like that he lets me struggle to figure out how am I going to get myself in the bands? Because that is life. I'm on the farm alone. I'm feeding animals. I'm lifting bags. I'm dragging hay bales. I need to know proper form. I need to know how not to pull my back. So like when I do that stuff, like I tell my husband, I'm so excited, like I'm going to tell my coach. And he'll like, so life on the farm because of this gym is much easier. I haven't got hurt one way or the other from knowing how to pick up those feed bags and hoist them over and those kind of things. So very much so, life is different.
Can I just give props to your husband for that attitude of you try it and let me know if you need help, as opposed to the typical like, oh hey lady, do you need some help with that?
Okay, we'll give him a small amount, but not too much.
Not too much credit.
Sometimes I'm like, no, like you do it. But because he knows I can, he's like, well, you'll be all right.
It cracks me up. We had a guy one time, he dropped off these like, it's like cubicle, like the panels that they put up between cubicles, the like portable walls or whatever.
Yeah.
And Josh was coaching a session and he called and he's like, is there going to be someone there to help me move these? And I said, yeah. So he gets here and he goes, where's my help? And I was like, me? And he's looking at me like, oh shit. And I'm like, okay. I mean, obviously this was before my back problems, but it was like, yep.
Yeah.
Don't mess with me. I'm gonna move 2 of these at a time. Just like screw you, dude. Like,
yeah, it's funny because people will say to him as my husband, people will say to him like, aren't you gonna help her? And he'll be like, oh, she's okay. Like she's got this. Like she doesn't need my help. She'll let me know. And
yeah.
So yeah.
I've had that helping Mike move his DJ equipment. people have been like, how come Sean is carrying the heavy stuff? And he's like, because she wants to, and I'm not telling her what to do.
Yeah. That's confidence to me.
Yeah.
Like, when you can do something that somebody thinks you can't, that's confidence, right? Because you know you can. If you didn't have the confidence, you would already say, well, I can't do it, or can you help me?
And I think that's one of the biggest things I've seen with members here that I absolutely love is like, man, people talk about, I came here to lose weight, but then I got the confidence to like, leave this terrible relationship or say no to things that don't serve me. And like, people have so much more confidence to take care of themselves, to stop being somebody else's like punching bag or doormat. Yeah. And that's like my favorite thing.
Yeah. When I have to take like hay and feed down to the barn at the same time and take it on the dolly, it's like the sled push. Like, that's in my mind. Like, I'm doing that at the farm, and I'm like, I got this. And in my mind, I'm talking to Josh the whole time. Like, we're having a whole conversation. He doesn't know.
That's okay. I often have conversations with Josh that I'm not sure he realizes are happening.
But yeah, that very much farm life relates.
Yeah,
very much to here.
So I'm glad you brought up Josh. We're going to get into a little bit about him. I have to get him. To sit down for one of these soon because we talk about him so much.
Yes.
I need to have the Josh experience for people. Anyone who might listen to this who doesn't already know who he is, need to have that experience recorded. But so I want to ask you guys why you started personal training, right? Because predominantly what we do here is boot camp. We have some small group stuff. And then, I think it was during the pandemic, we were trying some different things out and offered the option of physical therapy. And you guys both kind of jumped on it. So I'm just curious, like, why you decided to jump to personal training and what were you kind of expecting from it?
So the timing was perfect for me at a point in my life when personal training became an offering. At the gym, I was getting ready for an extensive medical procedure, and I knew that I needed to be strong mentally and physically. I knew it was going to take me out for probably 6 weeks or more. So it was a time in my life where I got to jump on and just really make myself strong. Prior to that, the best part about that was I shared with my coach what I was facing, and then personal training was then tailored more to what I was getting ready to go through.
Right.
So that's where it started for me. And then in the back of my mind, it was like, I will do the personal training, I will go through my procedure and recovery, and then just go back to boot camp. But as I went through it, I'm like, oh no, this is so good for my life in so many ways. This is now a part of my life.
Yeah. And you met Tab and you were like, I can't stop doing this thing with her.
That's true too. It is true.
Yeah.
And that's a whole other aspect of personal training and why I kept it up as well. Our connection there, we feed off of each other. It's kind of like opposites attract in that aspect, because things that she's not so sure of or is hell no, I'm like, come on, I got you. And vice versa with me, the things that I don't think I can do, she's like, yeah, we can do this. Let's give it a shot. And here we go. So we've been doing this now for a year and a half together.
I think that's a really fun attitude to have. I know we were talking about like our friend Holly earlier, and she's going through physical therapy right now. And when she goes to PT, like she gets excited. She was like, oh, I get to do monster walks today. And the physical therapists are like, who wants to do monster walks? And I'm like, well, probably everyone here would be, versus the population who doesn't think to like consistently stay active and do fitness things. They'd be like, oh, God, I got to do this thing again. Whereas she's like, yes, let's go.
Yeah.
And so I love that you guys kind of have that, like, everything is a challenge. It's something fun to try and see how it works or whatever.
So in our group, because, and it might be because of Johnny's kind of background of always being physically active, she's our pacer. So when we do an activity, she goes first because she will pace the hell out of you. Like when we're doing activities, she's repping us, right? So for me, because I don't come from a background of timing anything. So for me, like, it's always like, oh shit. Like, where's Johnny? Like, so for us, like, she pushes me probably more than I generally would, because I just don't naturally have that, not growing up with it and kind of learning it later as an adult. So I love that with her. And like she said, like, we like to sneak heavier weights in on each other because we know we can, but we just, whether we're not there or, you know, it's just a comfortability with the weight that you are. But see, when Johnny takes her glasses off, she can't see the weight, so it's very easy to up her weight.
It's true.
And now Josh knows our secret, so Josh will like sneak heavier weights in on us and stuff.
I do.
Oh, he will definitely sneak heavier weights in on you.
And it's just one of those Tuesday mornings have just become one of my favorite days of the week.
It's one of the things that I wish more people would trust in. If a coach is sneaking a heavier weight in on you, it's because he can tell by the way you're lifting the other weight that you can do more. I know we've had sometimes if a coach suggests to people that they can do more, there's been some people who take that as like offensive of like, oh, you're telling me I'm not working hard enough. It's like, no, I'm seeing the way that weight's going up, and I know you can push a heavier one, right? Like,
it's like the outside looking in, right? It's like what you can't see of yourself. Like when Josh does it to me, I say, okay, I'll give it a try, because what's the word? Okay, I go back down,
right? But
I'm already comfortable there, so there's not generally been a time where I've went back down unless I'm tired, and we're last reps or we've really pushed it. But even then, I'm like, it's okay, because I would rather do it well like Josh does than get hurt.
Right.
So my personal training started because a question was posed to me that's always been very deep-seated growing up. Well, it wasn't a malicious comment or question. It's just a question that has always very deeply hurt me, bothers me. So when PT was offered, it was kind of like the kick in the gut that I needed, that I needed to kind of do more than what I was. What I got out of personal training is the focus on the exercises. So because it's a smaller, more concentrated group, you learn the whys of the exercise. You get that time to kind of ask, well, what muscle group are we working today? Why are we doing this? And how does that coincide with whatever else? And you really get to focus in on a good goblet squat and figuring out where your weight should truly be. Because I found in boot camp, because it is a little bit faster paced, you kind of just grab maybe like the nearest weight, but is that truly a weight that you are challenging yourself at? And I think through personal training, that's where I picked up, am I challenging myself with this weight, or am I going to go faster rep with a lighter weight? And doing things well.
Right.
Paying attention to my form. Is my core engaged? Are my glutes squeezed? Those kind of things that you hear in boot camp, but when you're also like, you got 30 seconds, it's so fast. And so that's what I gained a lot out of personal training also.
And I think, in boot camp, like, I don't think it always matters if you have the exact right weight, as long as you're not going too heavy and hurt yourself.
Right.
Because you are going faster, there's less rest, so you don't necessarily need a heavy weight because you're getting all that work in.
Yes.
But I think it is always good to have an understanding of like what you're grabbing and why.
Yeah.
And I think it's funny because Hannah last week she does Power Hour, and she gets a little depending on the group, some days it's only 1 or 2, some days, 3 or 4, but she in boot camp would never go any heavier because she was afraid, well, what if I'm wrong? What if I can't go heavier and I hurt myself? So she's been able to take what she learns in Power Hour with the extra coaching and support and be like, oh no, actually I can go heavier.
Yes.
I get shown it while I'm in this much more controlled environment, and then I can take it to boot camp and do it on my own because now I've seen that, yes, I can handle this weight and I'm not going to hurt myself.
Yeah,
so it is a good combo sometimes.
You gain that confidence. And with personal training, because you're doing those exercises for 4 weeks, you have a really good understanding of where you need to be when you come to boot camp.
Yeah.
Because you've spent time there. It's gives you longer time to kind of grasp everything going on.
And you learn so much during those 4 weeks of repeating the exercises. When we first start out, Josh will tell us, week 1, we're just kind of like feeling our way through. Yeah. How does it feel for you guys? What kind of weights feel good? And then by the end of the 4 weeks, you look back and we see how much we've refined and how far we've come on those exercises. So that's another big thing about personal training.
Yeah.
Is we work it, and then we'll go through, of course, another set of exercises, which I think we get a new set this week. Yeah. We're always excited to see what's coming up. But that's another aspect of personal training that we've both found super helpful.
So I'm gonna bring something up that I hate talking about. I normally don't like talking to people about, and that's money. Because personal training is more expensive. And to me, I mean, as a business owner, like, you understand, like, how much you can make in an hour versus how many hours there are. So if we have 20 people in here for boot camp, obviously that's going to be more money than 1 person or 2 people for personal training. So if you just look at the hours versus the math, it's like the more people, the less attention. The less attention, the less you pay. But there are still people who are like, I don't understand why this has to cost more or this has to cost more. So I want to ask you guys, and I'm going to cut this out if you don't give me the answers I want. Is it worth it? Is personal training worth the extra money to you?
Hell yes.
Hell yeah.
I mean, you've been doing it for over a year now, so I'm guessing that I would be guessing that.
I think with the way that we have ourselves tried to hang on to it, because we know, like, having a business myself, I understand that aspect of things. I mean, looking at that aspect. So it's not a personal thing, right? I can't tell you how much I appreciate and look forward to and have grown from personal training. It's just priceless to me, right? It's like that commercial. It's priceless. Like it's so much value.
And yeah, I agree with Tab. I've never really given it a second thought. When it started out, the immediate benefits that I saw from doing it, that when I had in the back of my mind, I would just do this until I got through this next hurdle that I had to experience. When I came back and I'm like, hell no, I'm not stopping doing this. That's how much it meant to me.
That's I was the same way when I found Josh. Like, I found him when I was looking for a personal trainer, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this for 3 months, learn how to do some exercises, and then go do it myself. No. I love learning, and I think personal training is really good for people who love learning.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Like to know the why of something.
Yes.
Because you have more time with your coach, you can ask more questions, get more answers, and really absorb things. But I wanted to talk to you guys specifically about Josh, because I know you had different personal trainers throughout this journey, and you guys were trusted me to keep finding a good one for you.
We did.
And I know, like, you can say bad things. You can say bad things about Josh right now. This is your opportunity to say terrible things about Josh. Because I know you guys were a little nervous about him at first, and this is common, because people that see him, especially in a group environment, are like, oh gosh, that guy one-on-one. But that guy one-on-one is like a giant teddy bear.
That's perfect description.
So just curious if you guys remember, like, how you were feeling when we switched you to Josh, what you were nervous about.
So Johnny was
I was a hot mess.
She was super. We had to have several talks about it, and I kept telling her, it's okay. We're going to be okay.
Yeah.
Someone can, like you said, only push you to do as much as you're willing to do, right? So there's going to be at some point, either he's going to realize where our growth is, or we're going to grow past that. At first, we were nervous of letting him down, because being a gym owner, we felt we wanted to be our best. What was his expectations? Being a gym owner, coming into it, were we going to be good enough for his time?
Yeah. Because we knew.
You guys are going to make me cry.
He had so many responsibilities.
Yeah.
And to take that time, come in
at 5
a.m. to meet with us. We were just like really honored that he would do that for us. And we still are, but our relationship has just changed so much.
Yeah.
That we appreciate him even more in all kinds of different ways.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
We don't have that worry that, with him having a young family, we just wanted to make sure that we were giving him what his time needs.
And here I thought you guys were afraid he was going to be mean to you and make you use heavier weights and yell at you. And
no, we were so grateful that we were still going to have a personal training coach.
Yeah.
And when it was Josh, it's like.
And like you said,
I know, because there were some questions, and you guys were worried about it going away or not being able to stay together and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like you said, we have been through coaches before, and you kind of like when you're with your coach, because it is smaller, you get that one-on-one with them, right? So you learn their techniques, you learn their kind of style. So starting with Josh, and you're like, oh, this is the owner, like, oh no.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, what he means to us now today is just invaluable. Like, I don't even think he begins to know the value we have in him, because at the end of our 4 weeks, when we're ready to start a new program, he talks to us and, like, what do you keep wanting to practice on, or what do you want to focus on next? And just having that, like, that's value to me, because it's like you said, the farm life, having that discussion of sled pushes. Well, it's not my favorite thing, but it's life. It's realistic too when I go home, being able to do it here. And just him taking that time, not just designing a program and pushing us through it, to know what do we enjoy, where do we want to grow, what do we want next. Like, that's just value. It's just.
I'm going to tell you guys a secret. He was just as scared of you as you were of him. Because you guys had an established relationship with other coaches. You had this established thing you were doing. So he was afraid he was going to come in and you were going to not like him or not think it was not like it as much. Oh, and I think as the owner, he's right. So you're thinking, oh, he's the owner. We've got to make sure we're worth his time. He's thinking, I'm the owner. I have to be the best you've ever had. So that's incredible pressure too.
Yeah, his style is definitely different because he definitely takes things at a slower pace, right? Mm-hmm. So you may have been doing a much heavier weight, but was your form always correct? Probably not if he's taking you down. But there's that level of respect of his knowledge and what he can see of you and what you feel of yourself. And that was hard at first because you're like, okay, but I was doing this just before you came, but then to stop and talk to him and understand why he's having you do that. Mm-hmm. And then within, 2 weeks, you're heavier than what you were before. But your form is better.
And you're feeling really strong. You're feeling strong overall as a result of that.
And I think some of that could be, he started doing personal training. And then the boot camp came later. And some of the other coaches you guys have worked with started with boot camp. And then the personal training came later. So I think some of the timing, that boot camp speed and pushing through might have kind of been in their heads a little bit still and took it to other things. So like that's my guess as to why like the speed felt different with him.
Yeah.
And he pays attention to what's going on
Oh
in our lives outside of here too.
Yeah.
And incorporates.
He's so attentive.
Yeah. Incorporates our workouts and our conversations that parallel with the other things that we're doing.
Yeah. He is like, we're here. This is our time. Like he knows the places that we need him like in our face saying,
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And he knows, like push-ups for me.
Mm-hmm.
I am now doing push-ups from a low box.
Yeah.
Who would have ever seen that for me when I walked in? I never would have thought that I would have the upper body strength to do it. But he knows like that's still a place that I need him in my face going, you got this, you can do it, let's do it. Push it up, push it up, push it up, you got this. And he knows like just when we need that little boost of confidence from him.
And that's the kind of strength that's probably great for you on the farm too, is having the upper body strength.
Yeah.
And then with you, I know coming off the surgery, like you had to start with like nothing, no weights, upper body.
Yeah.
So it's been kind of a different experience for you on something like push-ups, right?
Right. And so one side of my body is significantly weaker than the other. And he does the same thing when I'm working my push-up. He'll like remind me, work that right side, let the right side do the work and let the left side follow. It's those reminders that stay with you to make you stronger.
That's something he's always told me is like, especially with single arm or single leg, start with he doesn't like to use the word weak. He goes, start with your less strong side.
Yeah.
Because that way you always make sure that you're getting the most amount of work. Like imagine we're supposed to be doing 12 reps and I start with my right arm, get 12 reps up with 25 pounds, go to my left arm and discover that I can only do 5 reps. Well, I've just put myself at a disadvantage on my arm that needs the most work. So he's like, start with the less strong side. It's not weak, guys. It's just less strong. So it's kind of the same thing. Is let that side that needs the most work be your guiding force, I guess.
Yeah.
And I actually dropped off the bars this week 2 boxes.
Yeah.
Which is huge for me.
Yeah.
Scary. And he said, I know it's scary. He acknowledges, he knows that I'm scared. But he's right there. Yeah. Right there with me.
So you know what he tells me about push-ups, right? He says it doesn't matter if you fall flat on your face. It's only 2 inches to the floor.
It's true, but still, like, it's that scare factor, right?
So
just remember that on your boxes this week. The fall to the floor is very short, Johnny.
I'll remember that. This will be in my head Monday and Tuesday. If we do push-ups, we don't know what's in our next setup.
I'm going to bet that there will be push-ups, chin-ups, deadlifts, and squats in some form or another in your next workout. I'm just willing to bet that those 4 exercises will exist in some form.
I'll bet against you.
All right, let me get back on track. I'm having a lot of fun. Totally off track. No, I'm not that far off track.
It's okay.
So this actually goes off some of the stuff you guys were just talking about. I want to know, like, what is your favorite accomplishment? Like, specifically, like I'm talking exercises. Like, what is the thing that's been the most fun to discover you could do, or the coolest, like, oh my gosh, I just did this moment, or even just a favorite exercise on that side?
Gosh, there's probably several.
You did not put much on your paper, Johnny.
Oh,
This was definitely one I gave you. This was definitely one I gave you heads up on, and she didn't.
But there's so many things that I've come so far. I mean, of course, we just talked about the push-ups, chin-ups. I started on a TRX, and now I do the bands for band assist. So there's a lot because we've just grown so much. I don't know if there's anything. The single leg rear assist.
Oh, yeah.
I struggle with that so badly, but I've come a long ways on that as well. So I guess if I had to pick, that's probably.
Yeah.
And Josh keeps it in there because he knows it's tough, but we continue to do it and I continue to improve.
Your workouts should always include something you suck at.
Yep.
Nobody likes to hear that, but that's one of the most important things to put in your workout. It's
Yeah.
something that you're not good at.
Yeah, and he doesn't let us out of that.
Yeah.
Yes, he does
Right?
not.
Like whether the split leg squat shows up in warm up
Mm-hmm.
or in the actual exercise, it's there.
Yeah.
And that way you guys keep building the reps on it.
Right.
Very much.
So the reason that I put this question in here was because Tab over here, when we did our recent survey, was complaining about like wanting to do harder exercises in boot camp, and I told her no. I said there's certain things we don't put in boot camp because there's going to be somebody next to you who is not as strong as you, who looks at you and goes, I want to try that, and breaks their neck or something. Probably not that bad, but
Sure.
right. So I was like, look, you guys have personal training. There's something crazy you want to do. Talk to Josh and get it put in there. So the part of the reason I'm asking this is like, what are these things that you want to do? Like, what are these exercises that are in your mind?
I don't know that I have any specific exercise that I would want to see. I think that came about with the transition of coaches, right? Because you're dealing with the difference of coaches and that kind of thing. But now having the relationship that we have with Josh and kind of him asking where we are and being that attentive and that kind of thing, like that's huge. Because for me with personal training, I have grown to where I can do a few unassisted pull-ups or chin-ups.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when I get tired, like I'll go to the band, no problem. But I wouldn't have been able to do that prior.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm. It is amazing.
That's the hardest freaking thing. That's awesome.
Yeah, I can't quite go all the way down. Like I get myself a good rep, but I have to where I can still come back up. Like so it's not a full extension yet, but that's what I'm working towards.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, that part's hard.
Yeah.
It's always fun when Josh puts in something that we haven't tried before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like we did jackknives. He put that in a couple sessions ago.
Oh.
That is so much fun.
Yeah.
I think he uses you guys as a guinea pig now. Because I've seen some things you guys do, and then the next month they show up in Power Hour, and I'm like, he's testing.
Yeah, those were really fun. I mean, that was just really different. Yeah. Even getting into position to do them is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just things like that.
Is that one of the feet in the TRX things?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah. It's just those kind of things that's always kind of like a new challenge.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because when you do push-ups week to week, you know where you left off at.
Right.
But jackknives, we didn't have a starting point of. And it's just those kind of things of wondering where your growth will go at the end, or what the struggle is going to be at the beginning.
Yeah.
And those kind of things kind of like feed my brain when I leave on Tuesdays. And
gotcha.
We're changing and we're talking about those kind of things.
Yeah, we do.
We on Tuesdays, if you were in the changing room, like you hear us talk about like our workout and like how we feel about it and how we feel about how we did and those kind of things. Like that's my brain feeding.
Yeah.
And how much we like the program. Like when the program changes, it's like, oh, this is a really cool one. Or
everyone, it's funny, and I guess this makes sense. Everyone I've done one of these podcasts, I mean, granted, this is only number 3, but it's like, oh, these are the people that have like interested on a brain level. Like they want to know the whys. These are the people I keep finding to talk to, and it probably makes sense. But yeah, it's like, oh, you think about this. You don't just show up and work out and leave. You think about
Yeah, we do. And we'll even feed off even later in the day. There are times, or especially if one of us has struggled that day, we will start texting each other throughout the day and just building each other back up and talking through what the struggle was, which is another thing in personal training because we do have each other.
Yeah.
That we have each other's back as well as, in class and out of class.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny, actually, because you bring that up when we were talking beforehand, because I had the one question about, like, when you guys really clicked, and you were like, I don't know, it was from the beginning. But you guys have really, like, you don't just work out together on Tuesdays and then see you next Tuesday.
Correct. Yeah.
I didn't mean it that way. I did not mean it that way, ladies.
That's our relationship.
Paris, see you next Tuesday. It's right here.
Yeah.
Somebody's listening to this going, what are they laughing at? I'll tell you later. If you're over 18. But you guys, like, have really, like, I know you guys do the yoga and stuff, so this is really, like, not just personal training, like, you guys have really formed this friendship outside of here too, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We sync up our schedules. One of our conversations yesterday while we were waiting for boot camp to begin up by the fountain, it's like, okay, what's our schedule for the week? So we have our plan already for the week of what we're going to do on what days and what times.
And like I keep saying, with Johnny having the background of activity and, you know, moving and that kind of thing, where I haven't, my husband always references, what did Johnny get you into this week?
So she's the family member you never had, and you realized, you're like, I need one of you in my family, so come along.
Yeah. And so now it's like, she definitely has got me into things that I probably would never do. She's pushed me to have confidence to try, right? Because if you don't know, you're always going to think you're going to fail until you
What are we trying? What are we talking about here?
Oh, well, Johnny got me signed up for my first half marathon this year. We just finished a triathlon, a self-guided triathlon through the rec center. Let's see what else. There's a plethora of things Johnny has got me into. But yes, very much so our relationship, even outside of here, is definitely a positive feed off of each other.
I'm kind of glad you guys do the yoga too, because clearly your bodies need some rest and relaxation to go with all the stuff that Johnny's getting you into.
And that's what we chose. We chose a yin yoga on Tuesdays after personal training, after our jobs, to meet up and just decompress. And we've come to really appreciate that as well, and how much good it does for us mentally and physically.
Yeah.
To have that stretch and relax and just escape for a little bit.
Yeah. And it definitely helps you sleep better
Tuesday
Tuesday nights, because a good stretch after personal training is so important.
And we talk about, we text about our meal preps too. We're both struggling to be creative this week. It's like, gosh, what do you think? What do you got planned? So, we'll kind of springboard off of each other there as well.
I thought we were all going to Tabs for steaks later.
I'm telling you.
I can get somewhere out.
That's one of my favorite things, I think. People think they can only eat, like, chicken and broccoli. I mean, we make a lot of chicken and broccoli jokes here. But it's like, no, you can have steak. It's just, sometimes portion size is a little more critical with steaks. Or just being mindful of what you eat the rest of the day or alongside it. But you can have nice, big, juicy steak if you've got some, grill some vegetables on that grill too. And
That's right. Like we just took, we have like a Mediterranean grain bowl, and so we threw vegetables and grilled chicken, and took just a plain grain bowl and doctored it up into this whole complete meal, and it was delicious.
It sounds delicious. I'm really into throwing things in bowls and calling them food.
I know. Right?
This.
Great.
We're good.
Yeah.
We're going to stop here and pick it up in 2 weeks with part 2 of my chat with Tab and Jone. We're going to talk more about nutrition, diet culture, and body image issues for women. And that's all coming up on our next episode of Fit Life Journeys.